Dollarhound19 here, and the other week I put out a poll on what video I should do next, and Helluva Kaiju won by a landslide. And why is this in black and white? I said the other week, not 1926. Now give me back my color! Alright, now I've also prepared a new narrator for the channel. A fun, quirky character. Why am I sitting here talking about it? Let's get started with the video.
Yeah, there I was, just next in line at the Chippy. But then work called saying I had to come in right away. So it was going to be one of those days. A category-free kaiju was stomping its way through Chicago. Now, news like that would have most people going like,
Holy!
But I was more like, I just wanted a Chip Buddy. Well, most people aren't super rad kaiju slayers like myself. The name's Abigail Stormson, and I work for the Orbital Defense Industry Narrative, or ODIN for short. I know the name's a little pretentious, but it's still better than the Specialized Cybernetic Patrol. Now don't even get me started on those clowns. In fact, don't get me started on any government official, or politics, or the color yellow, or my childhood trauma. I'd rather get started on the monster that made me skip lunch. The Blitzo Pikehorns. With a silent letter somewhere, I don't really know the spelling. What I did know is that this thing was 30 feet tall and was a total eyesore head to toes. And that's why me and my team were dispatched to shoot the ugly right off its mug. It had a skeleton-like physique with a mostly red hide and white patches around its face and chest that we think to be some form of scar tissue. Now, me and my team, we faced plenty of Pikehorns already, but this one was right different. Its horns were larger, its tail was longer and lined with spikes, and it had a right bad attitude. When we got to town, this thing was attacking whatever moved or whatever made a peep. It was really riled up. So, I went right in, and I made it even more angry. I fired a few cluster missiles, of my own design, not to brag. These rounds were enough to disorient the beastie, but not enough to do much else. They were low-velocity rounds, but they usually KO most Category 3s. So this was obviously gonna be a long day. But it almost didn't matter. My first attack was merely an hors d'oeuvre. My team was coming in with a main course of pain, topped with 3 different kinds of butt-whooping. First, it was my girl buddy Therese that hopped to the scene with a sonic cannon and flash grenades, disorienting the creature even further by targeting its sight and hearing. I gotta say, from where I stood, it was like a disco party light show times 1,000. And then my second buddy, Mike, came stomping down bringing the hurt with his laser-guided Gatling gun. And I gotta say, his high-powered rounds were reducing that creature's hide to Swiss cheese. But even that wasn't enough. The creature angrily smacked its spiky tail across a building, sending cement and debris showering over us. Me and Therese evaded easily enough, but Mike took quite a beating there. Oh, I wouldn't worry too much. The guy was wearing reinforced body armor, and the rest of him can take a hit like a champ. He was pretty much a ripoff of Master Chief. But he was pretty much out for the count this round. I know, losing your toughest fighter this early in the fight, how lame. The creature's eyes then fell on Therese. It loomed over to snatch her in its claws. But then, the creature howled in pain. One strand of laser fire had cut through 3 of its claws. Or fingers, or whatever the correct term is. Anyway, that's not important. The important part was, our captain had joined the fight. Out from the smoke, Captain Zachary came marching in, packing a futuristic rifle with a glowing plasma blade mounted on its end. The guy was giving off real movie hero vibes. I would have probably been blushing if I was into men. Well, Therese, even covered in all that funny-looking kaiju blood, I could tell she was blushing. Anyway, the creature fended us off with its spiky tail while thrusting its free claw into the nearest building, ripping away a huge chunk of it. I quickly figured out it was going to throw it at us, so I fired a cluster missile, blowing up that piece of building while it was still in the creature's paw. It won't be pitching for the New York Yankees anytime soon. And then the captain swung his plasma blade and chopped clean through the creature's tail. So we took out its claws, its tail, its dignity, all that was left was its fat head. Therese rushed forward and fired her sonic cannon at full pelt, knocking the creature on its back. Captain Zachary then leapt onto the Pikehorn's head and jammed his plasma blade right between its eyes. He then went on to unloading sci-fi lead into the creature's skull for good measure. And that was it. The creature was dead, we were all covered in weird kaiju blood, but our job was not over. A large shadow then loomed over us, and I realized this was still going to be a long day. Soaring across the sky was the Stolosaurus, a pale, scrawny creature that looked like a blend of an owl and a bat with bluish-gray feathers and leather wings the color of dark blood. It's a Category 4 kaiju, one that we never faced before. Its breed usually seclude themselves in the mountain regions, so this one was really far out. And when it saw what we did to the pikehorn, it got really, really bad. Now, the thing was airborne, so we couldn't really outmaneuver it. It had 4 eyes and a head that turns 360 degrees, so no blind spots. Now, admittedly, I was feeling a little nervous. Then the not-so-pretty birdie swooped down and scraped its talons across the building tops, scattering rubble everywhere. The captain pulled me and Therese to one side, gestured to the kaiju corpse, and I'd figured out his plan before it even left his lips. The 40-foot kaiju then flew up so high, it looked like a dot from where we were watching, but we could tell it was readying up for round 2, and so were we. Our captain tried to shoot it down, but even with his cool gun, he wasn't much of a sniper. He got the creature's attention at least. The kaiju screeched as if accepting the man's challenge, and then came hurtling down like some feathery meteorite. And as it was getting closer, the captain's aim seemed to be getting worse. He was hitting building tops, sending out smoke and property damage everywhere. The kaiju was picking up speed, about to turn this city into a crater. But little did it knew, that was exactly what we wanted. Thanks to our good old captain providing a smoke screen, the kaiju never noticed us scaling the building tops. We were positioned on both sides of the street, and the second that thing was in range, we hit it with concussion rounds from left and right. Now, those rounds weren't enough to kill it. They weren't enough to stop it. We just wanted to knock it off course. The kaiju twirled uncontrollably, then crash-landed right on the horns of the pikehorns. Oh boy, did we make a mess. The shockwave sent me and Therese flying off of our perches. And literally, every window in the city broke all at once. I'd hate to be the guy who has to clean that up. And I'd especially hate to be the Stolosaurus. One horn had tore through the membrane of its left wing, while the other horn had tore through its chest. And then somehow the thing was still alive. I mean, the whole stake for the chest thing worked on Count Dracula, and even he didn't fell on it while moving at a bazillion miles per hour. So I was like, oh, come on! The kaiju then carefully pulled the horn out from its wing, and as it did, its gaze fell upon me and my team. It shrieked at us while coughing up blood. It then turned away and pulled the other horn out from his chest. Now, I was stumbling over my own feet at this point, but I wasn't gonna let that thing get away. Until Captain Zachary grabbed me by the waist. He was a man of few words, so he just gestured to Mike and Therese. Half of our squad wasn't doing so well. So we let Beak for Brains clumsily fly away. Mike woke up moments later and asked,
Did we win?
I know there are plenty of people that would still count that day as a win, but I'm just not one of them. We hadn't had a close call like that since we fought the Luna Longclaw in LA. And I had to skip a meal on that mission too. Anyway, it was like this red-eyed lone wolf kaiju with violent tendencies, even towards its own kind. And our squad didn't have that much experience at the time, so we had to partner up with a higher-ranking squad. We thought that would even the odds, but we thought wrong. That fuzzy thing cut our defenses to pieces. We resorted to throwing everything we had at it. Mike even went and threw a kitchen sink. I mean, what a cliche. And after fighting for what felt like forever, the best we could do was just drive it out of town. Well, what was left of town anyway. I know, not ideal, but we exhausted our arsenal and our bodies. Now the beastie had left us alone, but our problems sure hadn't. The other squad we were working with, they just disappeared into chaos. No trace or anything. And then one of our teammates, Brennard, he had a mental breakdown. I won't go into too much detail on it. Just that later he was deemed unfit for service. I didn't know him all that well, but it was sad to watch him leave. That was when I learned a painful lesson. It sure does sucks to lose. Oh, that's enough dwelling on the bad stuff. Let's get back to the story. A few weeks after Beak Brain and the Red Thing, I was having a bit of a beach day, looking absolutely stunning in my swimsuit. But then work called, saying there were sightings of a Category 3 somewhere in Texas. Where most people have to put on their tie in the back of an Uber, I was putting on my body armor in the back of a 6-figure fighter jet with real sci-fi thrusters and everything. So there we were, nearing our destination, until something got to us first. We picked up something moving fast on our radar. Literally 5 seconds later, we were struck down from the air. But it was nothing to fret about. Me and my squad are particularly skilled in crash landings. Anyway, we quickly pulled ourselves out from the wreckage and found what attacked us, the Stolos. The same creature that attacked us before. I could tell from the scar on his chest. Did I forget to mention this breed of kaiju has vengeful tendencies? As the creature swooped low, I instinctively fired cluster missiles, but they didn't do much. So as we were wasting rounds here, I remembered a certain something about our mission details, and that gave me an idea. I quickly explained it. The captain didn't much like it, but couldn't think of a better one, so we went with it. So my team went off to their positions, but this time I was holding off the beastie. With my rocket launcher and Mike's Gatling gun, I laid on to fireworks, baby. The creature lunged its talons at me, but then I detonated our crashed fighter jet, and the blast tore through its wing membranes. The creature tumbled through the desert ground. I thought I had enough time to reload, but then it leapt up and caught me between its talons. So the creature had me right there, about to finish me off, but then a strand of webbing wrapped around its neck. My team had successfully led the hellish striker into the fray, a scorpion-like kaiju that likes to eat other kaiju. The Stolos tried to fight back, but the striker just fired more webbing, grabbing the creature in its claws and dragging it down a nearby crevice. The Stolos scraped its claws against the canyon walls as the striker sank its venomous teeth into its flesh. Captain Zachary then blasted the crevice, causing a cave-in and trapping the kaiju. Well, for now, at least.
What?
Were you seriously sleeping through my whole story?
So what do you think of my new narrator? And whatever characters and franchises you want to see turned into kaiju, feel free to comment your suggestions and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now how about catching up on Deviant Reacts right here? Or you can catch my latest video right here. Or whatever you decide to do. I will catch you all next time.